Healthy and plays 16 is a stud. Roy Williams, not a huge fan, but I see the upside. He's the #1 receiver. He's got a good quarterback. Could he put up some numbers? Yeah. As a wide receiver too, I don't dislike it. Follows up as his third running back, Lindell White, who I kind of like. Nobody else seems to like the guy. The guy's going to get you 800 yards and 14 touchdowns. Okay? So do the math. That's about 40 yards in a touchdown almost every game, which is 10 fantasy points, which I think is great as a third running back. His quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, is a stud. He's a maniac. He's a stud. Okay? Guy's probably going to throw for 30 touchdowns this year. Other than that, Chris Cooley at tight end is no problem with that. Borderline top 5, 5 to 7. Can't go wrong there. If you don't get one of the top guys, there's no problem with that. So our starting lineup as a whole, you got Jackson, Barber, and Lindell White as a group. I'm going to give that a solid B. Although Jackson could disappoint. But I'll give it a B. Holston and Roy Williams. This is a tough one. I don't love Roy. Holston's injury scares me. But I'm going to give it a B- right now. We'll have to see how this plays out. His tight end, Cooley, that's a B-. Overall, I think this team's going to be a playoff team. If Colston stays healthy for 16 games, and he gets anywhere near wide receiver 2 numbers from Roy E., this guy's going to be in the playoffs. And I think between Rodgers and the rest of these guys, he'll get it done. I'm not going to say I love this draft, but it's not bad. I just realized I've been forgetting to mention guys the bench on these teams, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit after this. Bone Crusher's bench. There's really nothing special to see here. Kenny Watson, enough said. Mark Sanchez as a keeper is a nice play. Other than that, really nothing to see here. Bench, C-. Keeper, I'll give him a B with Mark Sanchez. Backtracking real quick, Assman, bench. We got Lance Moore, Nix, Bennett, Sell, C-. Couple of guys with upside. Nothing special here. As far as keepers, looks like his best options are either going to be Brent Selleck or Sean Hill, which nobody's getting excited about. C- at best. And team number 2, bench, Driver, Hightower, Shaw, Macklin, Morgan. You know what? This is a solid bench. Show up, Driver alone are very solid plays. Hightower could surprise. Macklin could surprise. I would say this bench is a solid B. He's got some good fill-ins here. As far as keepers, it looks like it's either Macklin or Morgan. And though they have good upside, nobody's getting scared of these guys. They're not going to be high draft picks next year. So as far as keepers go, I'm going to say C+ at best. Moving on, Team 5 is my team, Irish Pimps. But it seems at the draft, people think I shouldn't be rating my own team for some reason, even though I'm giving an honest outlook on what I think. So I'm going to skip over my team for now. Team 6, hard hitters. Once the laughing stock of the QCFFL. Had a great strategy for many years, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Everybody giggled at this, year in, year out, pointed fingers. Then Pete won the cup. So really nobody can say anything to him anymore. The guy's a champion. I mean, it is what it is. So this year, thinking he'll go receiver, quarterback, tight end, whatever he usually does, Pete comes out of the box with 4 straight running backs. Really not sure what to think about this. Not even sure if I like 3 straight running backs, but 4 is going to be a little tough. But let's take a look at what he did. He starts off with Jacobs, who maybe he could have gotten the 2nd round, maybe he couldn't. I still think it's a good pick. I would rather have Jacobs than Portis. And, a couple of other guys. He follows up with Portis in the 2nd round. And then Thomas Jones in the third, who is not the sexiest pick. May not give him the year that he got last year. But as a third running back, I think he's going to get very good numbers out of it. Marshawn Lynch in the fourth round to me was a reach. He's going to miss a couple of games. It's going to take him a couple of games to get back in shape. And I had him on my team last year. Even when he was healthy, he didn't light the world on fire for me. He's a quality bench player, without a doubt. Fourth round pick, I'm not too sure. Comes back in the fifth round, Tony Gonzalez, who is a great value at this point. Guy's a top 5 tight end, probably top 3 tight end. Follows that up with Ocho Cinco in the sixth, which is a steal. This guy could be a top 10 receiver, and he's getting in the sixth round. Then Pete shows his loyalties to his guys. Hines Ward, Lavernius Poles, Miles Austin after that. No one's getting excited. They don't stink. They're not horrible, but they're not difference makers either. His quarterback situation is average at best. He's got Delhomme, Garrard, and Eli Manning as a keeper. These guys are average. I mean, they're not going to win you games. They might not lose you games, but they're not going to win them either. So taking a look at the starting lineup as a whole, Jacobs, Portis, Thomas Jones as 3 running back starters. I'm going to give that a B+. I think that's a solid group. Wide receivers, it looks like he's going to start Ocho Cinco and Hines Ward. I'm going to give that a B-. I think Ocho's a top 10 guy. I mean, Ward to me is similar to Walker. They are who they are. You know, they're going to get you 1,000 yards. Anywhere 6, 8 touchdowns maybe. Nothing fancy, steady points. Quarterback, average. I'm going to give that a C- at best. Tight end Tony Gonzalez, that's an A. I think this team's going to make the playoffs. If he gets any type of quarterback play, he's definitely going to make the playoffs. If the quarterbacks aren't as good as, if they're not even average, he's going to just miss the playoffs. His whole team is riding on his quarterback situation right now, in my opinion. His bench, really not much to see here. No one even mentioning. C-, F, I don't know. As far as keepers, he's got nothing. The first keeper round, he started off with a kicker, and followed up with a defense. Keeper F, I'm sorry. Moving on to Raider Nation next. Now, the last couple of years, Raider Nation has had some pretty bad drafts. He showed up inebriated to most of these drafts before it even starts. Barely can speak sometimes. But, just like Lindell White, he told me before the draft he's off the Patron, and he was focused this year on putting together a nice draft. Let's see what he did. He starts off with Matt Forte, which is a guy I don't really care for, but at the pick, I can't knock it. It's very justifiable. I've seen this guy go number 1 overall in drafts. It's a good pick. Matt Forte. He follows up with Frank Gore, one of my 49ers. Love the guy. Singletary's going to pound the ball this year. He follows that up with Terrell Owens. Maybe he was the best receiver on the board at the time. I'm not sure. I think he's going to be okay. I think he'll finish up just outside the top 10 in receivers. It's not a horrible pick. Comes back in the 4th round with pretty much every fantasy person out there thinks is the sleeper of the year, if you want to say. Pierre Thomas. Finished strong last year. We all know the touchdowns, blah, 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 blah. Great pick as a number 3 running back. 5th round, he takes Vincent Jackson, who, at the end of the year,